Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Marc Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Marc tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tech It Out, episode 94. And we have some new stations joining us this weekend, one in Portland, Oregon, and a couple in Amarillo, Texas. Welcome. KBNP in Portland, KGNC, and FM Translator 97.5 in Amarillo. Thrilled to have you along. If this is the first time that you've tuned in to Tech It Out, my goal isn't just to celebrate technology, but to help demystify it as well. And we do have a great show planned for you this hour. In a moment from now, we'll learn about a new emergency pendant with no monthly costs. We'll touch base with Intel in a few minutes from now to chat about its officially unveiled 9th gen processors for laptops, ideal for gamers and content creators like video editors. We'll also talk 3D printing and the future of that space this hour with Nano Dimension. And we'll end off the show with a chat about Small Business Week, which kicks off next week, and some recommended tech I showed on TV this week tied to small business. All of this and more coming up on a brand new Tech It Out. Kenny Kelly, a former Hollywood stuntman and YouTube star, crashed his motorcycle a few years ago and was unable to call for help on his smartphone. And it was during those long minutes waiting for first responders that he had the idea for a wearable panic button, just in case of emergency. And so Silent Beacon was born. Joining us on the line to tell us all about it is Kenny Kelly, founder and CEO of Silent Beacon. Thanks for your time, Kenny, and welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. Great to be here.
Now, before we talk about Silent Beacon, please bring us all up to speed about your career as a stuntman and a YouTuber.
Sure. Well, in my younger years, I always had ambitions to be in the entertainment industry. So I went to where most people do, which is Hollywood, California, and realized there's millions of other people trying to do the same thing I do. So I actually was always good on motorcycles and bicycles growing up, so I just decided to become a stuntman, which kind of puts you on the forefront of Hollywood because you're in a niche market that most people can't do those kind of things. So I was able to perform and wreck and kind of bounce when I was younger, and as you grow older, you don't bounce anymore. But back then, I could kind of take a bump and keep on riding.
And could we have seen your work in a big TV show or movie? Can you drop any names?
Yeah, so there's the Adrenaline Crew series. There's Biker Boys, Torque, Redline, The Fear of Speed. My first movie was called In the Wrong Hands. There was MTV music videos that featured us. Gwen Stefani's music video for Let It Ride.
Awesome.
There's been a lot of things over the years. It's kind of foggy now because it was all kind of, you just go where you're told to go and you go on to the next one.
Yeah, I get that. Congrats. So now let's talk about Silent Beacon. So it was an accident on your motorcycle that gave you that epiphany to do something about emergency situations.
I saw there was an issue with being able to get to your smartphone in an emergency and kind of do everything that you would want to do if you had time to think about it. Now, when you're in an emergency, all you want to do is probably call 911 or probably call a loved one. But there's a whole list of things that you should be able to do. And if you're just thinking about it like we are now, you would want to. You would want to send your location. You would want to try to get information by any means necessary, whether that's social media, whether that's email, whether that's push notifications, whether that's text message or voice calls. So we kind of grab all the technology in your smartphone and allow that to be hit at one time, so that, just imagine you're kind of you're kind of spreading out your alert to everyone everywhere at once to maximize the chances that you're going to receive help in an emergency.
Yeah, got it.
So the Silent Beacon product is a Bluetooth product. It's about an almost 2 inches in diameter. Imagine an apple, if you will, with 2 bites taken out of both sides, because it has an indented button on both sides, so you won't accidentally hit it in your pocket. So when you press those buttons simultaneously, it sends a signal to your smartphone, and your smartphone grabs all the technology, utilizes all the information that it has, and then sends out, however you set it up, those packets of information, whether it's text message, email, push notification, and it can place voice calls, so you don't have to grab your phone.
Do you wear the silent beacon on your wrist like a watch?
You wear it as either a pendant or on your keychain mostly, but it also comes with a clear clip. I keep mine on my belt loop, so it's just kind of tucked under my shirt so people can't see it.
Along with calling emergency services and loved ones, can it also send out your GPS coordinates, like where you are physically?
Yes. So it can send out your GPS coordinates. You set it up. So if you go into the menu, you can have it decide to send your location or not. And then they'll just get a text message that shows you where you're located, and it follows you. So there'll be a little red line with your footsteps wherever you're walking, so it can track you in real time. And where you've already been is actually in gray, so it shows where you are now and where you were.
Okay. And just to clarify, Kenny, that this works through your smartphone wirelessly via Bluetooth technology. So your phone needs to be on you and working. This isn't like the wearable device has integrated cellular connectivity or GPS or anything like that.
Correct. This version of Silent Beacon totally relies on your smartphone.
Got it.
And the reason we did that is so a lot of people don't want to pay that $39.99, $29.99 a month fee for your own cellular network for a device. We wanted to be able to piggyback off the technology you're already paying for monthly and just be able to use that in this product.
We're chatting with Kenny Kelly, a former Hollywood stuntman and YouTube star, and he's now the founder and CEO of Silent Beacon, a device he came up with during an emergency when he crashed his motorcycle a few years ago. Tell us about the mute mode. How does that work, and how could that be helpful in an emergency situation?
Sure. Well, we tried to pack this thing full of features so that anyone can use it in, any kind of situation. And there's a lot of situations, let's say domestic violence, or if someone's kind of, aggravatedly standing in your face, they're not going to want to know that you're calling 911. That's just going to agitate them even more. Any attacker's not going to want to know that you've called 911 unless you want to tell them. If you can get out of that situation, then please do. But if you feel that it's going to antagonize your attacker, you simply hold one of the buttons for 1 second. It's going to vibrate, and then all the LEDs, all the audio is going to disappear. Whoever you're calling can still hear you, and it's still tracking you, but it kills all sound and lights, so people won't think you have hit the button, and you'll be able to kind of not get them more riled up than they already are, and try to diffuse the situation while help is still on the way and it's being recorded.
Who would you say your target audience is? Are you hitting up travelers, women who may commute alone and they want the sort of the peace of mind knowing that they can get help if they need it? Are you targeting drivers specifically?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. Our market began with just women. Basically, when I thought of this, I would listen to CNN a lot and other news organizations in the background while I was working on my computer. And you'd hear of all these horror stories, like a woman was trapped in her trunk and she didn't know where she was. And I was thinking, well, geez, if you had the Silent Beacon, you could just press it and police would be able to track you in real time. And also, there was that horrible issue that happened down in Virginia where a girl was kidnapped after leaving a concert. And I remember on the news they said, we have her GPS location here, pinged later that night. And that took 2 weeks to get. And that's because if you disappear, if you want to leave where you are, you have every right. I can't go down to the court records and say, I want to see where Marc has pinged his cell phone tower because I haven't heard from him. It's your right to disappear if you want to. So Silent Beacon just allows your loved ones to know where you are immediately and not have to worry about that whole subpoena thing with court records and things like that. So it was originally for women. And then we just got all this feedback from schools, from laboratories where you can't bring your phone or other sensitive information, for plumbers, for mechanics who work on cars. They're underneath cars and no one else is around. So it really just spread. And, instead of saying what this market is for, really is now just for anyone who thinks they have use for it in their life. Joggers, people who work in areas they don't feel comfortable in, caseworkers, therapists. These are all people and companies who bought our product because they see the value in it.
You mentioned joggers. So if it's raining outside, is the Silent Beacon okay?
So the Silent Beacon is water resistant, and I would like to say it's waterproof, but legally I can't. I tested it myself by putting it under 3 feet of water and pressing the button to see if it would still work. And the device actually did work for 30 minutes. But the ingress protection, which is the IP rating, we have not actually officially had it rated yet. But it will work. I've dropped it in the toilet. I've worn it in the shower. So it will work under those conditions, although we don't recommend it.
All right, Kenny, finally, tell us how much Silent Beacon costs and where we can learn more about it.
Sure, Mark. Thanks. So you can learn more about Silent Beacon at www.silentbeacon.com. And right now it is on sale for $89.99 on our website, and usually retails MSRP for about $99.99.
And as you said, there's no monthly costs or anything. It just piggybacks on your smartphone.
Correct. You just buy it and it's yours. And we have other products that we're putting out later this year that compete with, the help I've fallen and I can't get up kind of devices. And those as well, we're doing it with no monthly fees.
Oh, that could be a disruptor.
Yeah.
Kenny, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Congrats on this product.
I appreciate it, Mark. Thank you.
Before we continue on with the show, a quick shout out to my sponsor. Tech It Out is powered by ASUS. Thank you for your ongoing support. ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life, including its line of award-winning laptops, desktops, monitors, smartphones, tablets, smartwatches, and much more, as well as their gaming gear under the Republic of Gamers, or ROG, sub-brand of ASUS. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com/US/radio. ASUS was a guest on last week, by the way. You can hear that interview in podcast form today. We'll be right back with more Tech It Out. You're listening to the Radio America Network.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Tech It Out. With its crosshairs targeting computer gamers and content creators and others who demand performance, Intel last week officially took the wraps off its new 9th generation Intel Core processors for laptops. A processor, of course, or CPU, a central processing unit, is that engine that drives your computer's performance. Joining us now to discuss is Lisa McManus, account executive at Intel. Welcome back to the show, Lisa.
Thanks, Mark. It's a pleasure to be here.
We had you back in December after I had a sneak peek at 9th gen Core processors in action, but that was more on the desktop side. We're going to talk about mobile performance today. But before we talk about 9th gen processors, please tell us why the gaming market and the content creation space is so appealing to Intel.
Yeah, this space is so huge, and Mark, it's growing, as you know, based on all your research, that this particular market, there's 580 million enthusiast PC gamers around the world, and a nice new market that we're really focusing on is the creator market, and there's like 130 million PC-based content creators today in market. So, the opportunity is massive, and Intel's really focused on providing the best experience, right? So as you grow this market, technology continues to develop and bring better and faster experiences to the user. So it's really exciting for us.
Okay, so that's about 580 million enthusiast PC gamers out there. That is obviously a huge market. And then about 130 million PC-based content creators. So I'm assuming that's like YouTubers and the like and other editors. So yeah, needless to say, they need a lot of performance under the hood. And now anywhere they go, they're not limited to a desktop. So that's a good segue into the 9th gen mobile processors. I think Intel calls it H series, H as in happy. So how are they best suited for mobile gamers and video editors and the like?
Yeah, this particular series is really designed to bring desktop caliber, performance to the mobile user, right? So whether it be AAA gaming or content creation, the reality is, desktop was always the core tool for these folks, and now they really can take this experience and this technology on the go, but have the same experience or better than on a desktop. There's so many new technologies that they can then take advantage of, whether it be Wi-Fi 6 or Turbo Boost, that's really bringing great performance to their mobile laptop.
Got it. I'll ask you more about the next-gen Wi-Fi in a moment. But when it comes to speed and performance, things that gamers definitely want, especially when they're gaming online, competitively, or even professionally, like in esports, could you quantify how much better these 9th-gen processors are over, say, last year's 8th generation processors, or maybe, say, a 3-year-old PC?
I can. 3-year-old PCs, there's a lot of them out there, and the reality is 9th Gen brings 56% frames per second faster for gamers, 38% faster turn time for gamers, and from a, creator perspective, 54% 4K video editing, and basically an overall 33% performance boost for over a 3-year-old PC. So really exciting numbers for us. And even gen over gen, if you have folks out there that are looking to upgrade, but, wondering, is it worth it? I've only bought 1 or 2 years ago. You're still looking at jumps of 28% faster video editing, 18% improvement in frames per second, 2.1 times higher frames per second in gaming, streaming, and recording. So a lot of value that the customers can see in the new series for sure.
All right. And again, this is critically important to gamers and content creators alike and others who demand performance. And now without any trade-offs, you don't have to be at a desktop tethered to a machine plugged into the wall in order to take advantage of these newer technologies. And I love the fact that there's no trade-offs. We used to have, for example, bulky laptops if we wanted serious speed, or there was poor battery life if we wanted serious speed. So now it sounds like it's sort of best of both worlds. You're getting the thin form factors that we want with lots of power, good battery life, and all in a mobile form factor, which is awesome. We're chatting with Lisa McManus. She is an account executive at Intel, and we're chatting about the new 9th Gen Intel Core processors for laptops just unveiled. Why is next gen Wi-Fi important, and what do these 9th Gen processors offer in this space?
Yeah, so, it's interesting. We have Wi-Fi 6 now, which is amazing. There's basically a 75% latency reduction, which means it's much faster. So you might get a much smoother and much faster stream over Wi-Fi when you have the correct technology. And that's really exciting because what that means is you can game, record, stream, and no impact to the quality of all of those elements of it, as well as broadcast live streams up to 2 times faster.
Okay, so you don't need an Ethernet cable. You're now getting Wi-Fi performance that rivals, or in some cases exceeds, wired performance. So let's wrap up with when these 9th Gen mobile processors will roll out and with what partners. Is it all like sort of the big PC makers, or is it some niche gaming laptops?
So the H series that we've been discussing, the mobile processors, the new 9th Gen series, will be out with Acer, Asus, and Lenovo now. They'll be online and available in select markets, and we expect all PC manufacturers to come out with products shortly. So very exciting in terms of coming up. And I just wanted to mention as well, we have desktop new 9th Gen F series with all our partners, all HP, Lenovo, Dell, Acer, Asus, and MSI. So we're pretty excited about the lineup.
All right. So when someone's shopping for a new PC, be it a laptop or a desktop, the sticker or words that they want to look for would be something like 9th Gen Intel Core processors. Is that right?
That's correct. You'll see on the Intel badge, the little square unit that's on the majority of laptops produced, it'll have 9th Gen right on it. And then you'll also know by the number of the processor. So the 9th Gen generally starts with a 9. So you're going to see, for example, a i7 9850H or an i5 9400 or a 9300. So if it starts with a 9, you're looking at the 9th series.
All right. And of course, Intel.com has more. Lisa McManus, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure, Mark. Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back with more Tech It Out when we chat 3D printing with Nano Dimension. Stay with us.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Marc Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out, everyone. In case you've never seen a 3D printer in action, it's fascinating. Most of the ones available for the home today can create a three-dimensional and often multicolor object up to 8 or 10 inches cubed, usually. And if you don't know how to design what you want to 3D print, like, chess pieces, for example, you can download those blueprints from the internet. As cool as it is, 3D printing, which is often referred to as additive manufacturing, it's still in its infancy. So to tell us what's new and where we're going in this space, we're joined by Amit Dror, CEO, President, and co-founder of Nano Dimension. Welcome to the show, Amit.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here.
And thanks for, I know it's a big time difference. You're in Tel Aviv. Thank you for making time to chat with us. Now, before we talk about the future of 3D printing, including your award-winning Dragonfly Pro, which is the only system of its type worldwide, before we get to all of that, please tell us a bit about yourself and Nano Dimension.
Great. So actually, I think I'm maybe a bit of a typical Israeli entrepreneur. I started in the army where I served in technological unit, and I kind of graduated a lot of improvisation on the very edge high-tech technology world. And then in the recent decade, I had the chance to work in different Israeli tech companies in the field of telecom, software, and actually I've also been, as an entrepreneur, a person who started the first whiskey distillery in Tel Aviv, which is more of a passion than really of a tech activity. And moving forward into Nano Dimension, which is definitely, the project I'm most proud of for the last 6 years dealing with that. It's an idea that started about 6 years ago, and behind it, myself as a co-founder with additional 3 co-founders had the thinking of how can we take 3D printing. And to remind you, about 3 or 4, even 10 years ago, 3D printing was just starting. And we were thinking, how could we, as entrepreneurs, jump into that new and exciting world of creating things out of inks or almost, raw materials and do something new. That's really where it all started. And the idea that came to mind, why don't we take the advantages of 3D printing as we see them on YouTube and other places, and we bring those advantages to the world of electronics manufacturing. So not just creating some plastic boxes or tools or even metal parts, but really make a functional circuit board or a sensor or some device that has the connectivity of electrical components, but make all that with 3D printing.
Wow. Okay, so in my introduction, Amit, I talked about chess pieces as an example. That's obviously a pretty basic example of what somebody may be able to print at home today. You're saying that with Nano Dimension, one of the reasons that your company is unique is that you can also print electronics onto that 3D object that you printed. So can you give us an example of something that you're able to 3D print?
Absolutely. Some of the things that we can print include a motherboard, just like the one that you have in a computer or in a phone or pretty much in any device. If you open it, you're going to see a circuit board. Okay, it's also called PCB. That's the term used in the professional world. We can actually 3D print very complex, multi-layered PCBs, or we could also print antennas, RF antennas. We can print an Internet of Things, IoT device, and even sensors. We could actually 3D print sensors.
Wow. Now, I know a lot of companies, for example, I know we've been talking about consumers at the beginning, but a lot of companies will prototype something with a 3D printer. They find that it helps protect their idea better because they're not outsourcing it to another company. So I can see the application of using one of your Nano Dimension or your Dragonfly Pro platform 3D printers to create a one-off to test and iterate. But is it ideal for mass production, a 3D printer?
So this is a great question. And I think that like every new technology, the stages before you go to mass production go through a smaller scale production. And your guess is correct. The initial activity, what most of our customers are currently using the Dragonfly Pro system for, has a lot to do with development and prototyping. You could imagine that, for example, one of the main sectors of customers we're working with are the U.S. Armed Forces. And, for them, being able to maintain the confidentiality of those electronic designs for, whichever activities they're using them for is very important. And also, when you think about the advantage of being able to prototype or create a one-of device within a few hours versus sending it to a third party that would normally take a few weeks.
Right.
That really generates a significant advantage. But to answer your question, can we use the machine as of today for mass production? Well, the answer is we could use it for what we call high mix, low volume. And that actually means that for some products, you don't really need a lot in order to take it into production. Okay, I can give you an example.
Please.
One of our customers, which is a U.S. corporate called Harris Corporation, they're dealing mostly with defense and communication in aerospace. They've realized that by using the Dragonfly Pro and the unique nanomaterials, which are the consumables, right, the inks, which are used by the system to generate the prints, they could reduce the weight and the size of an RF amplifier, which is the communication component within nano satellites. Now, assuming there are a few tens or hundreds or even thousands of nano satellites to be deployed, these are not numbers which we should refer to as mass production, but it's definitely production scale.
All right, so we're not talking about 10 million iPhones, but it's still more than a one-off, somewhere in between. Very cool. When we return on Tech It Out, we'll continue our chat with Nano Dimension to talk 3D printing and where we're going to go in the future. As well as at the end of the show, I'm going to talk about Small Business Week taking place and some recommended tech to help your small business. So we'll be right back.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Tech It Out, hosted by Marc Saltzman.
You're listening to Tech It Out on the Radio America Network. We're chatting with Amit Dror, CEO, president, and co-founder of an Israeli company called Nano Dimension. They have an award-winning printer platform called Dragonfly Pro that not only can print hard or raw materials like plastics, but also print on top of it electronics. So how does that work? Before we pivot and talk about the future and where we're going, I'd love to pick your brain about what 3D printing would be like in, say, 10 to 20 years from now. Do you use plastic as your raw material like many other 3D printers do? And then how do you print the electronics on top of it? Does it use silicone? Is it a different head that prints something different?
Right. Our system is actually using two very different materials. In fact, we're talking about two different families of materials. One is a polymer. It's not just a simple plastics. It's actually a very complex polymer that can withstand very high temperatures. That is what we call the dielectric material that can separate between the electrical components. And then there is the other material, which is the nano silver ink. Now, these two materials are printed almost simultaneously. And by printing them side by side and then curing them and sintering them, which is the process of drying them and getting them to their mechanical and electrical properties, we create those circuit boards and sensors, which are the outcome of the printer.
Cool.
To your other question about how do I see the future let's say 10 years ago, to make it even more exciting, then in order to do that, why don't we look backward 10 or 20 years ago? I'd like to use a couple of examples that would help me share with you my view of the future. Do you remember that, let's say 20 years ago, if I told you there is a digital device that you could use in order to take photos, to shoot photos, and you don't need to have physical albums with photos. That would have looked like a crazy thing, right? We all had the Kodak and
right.
the camera has the chemicals, but now it's obvious. I mean, who uses paper and chemical stuff? It's all digital, right? The world has transformed from physical stuff and chemistry production into digital. It's all pure digital. And when I'm taking that example and I'm looking at what Nano Dimension is doing and also other 3D printing companies, that is the future of production. And some of the aspects which are being used in a new concept called Industry 4.0 talk about additive manufacturing, which is the usage of 3D printing in order to create products. And just try to imagine that a 3D printer today can make a plastic box. And with Nano Dimension, you can make electronics components. And maybe in the future, you could do even more things. And in 10 years, we will be able to generate products upon demand. So it's going to be much more than what we can do today when we're actually buying something on the internet. Do you ever buy something online? Right? I do.
Of course. Yeah, exactly.
And I have to say that I'm always trying to use the Prime service because actually I really want to get it the next day. Right? But here's the thing. Most of the stuff that we're buying is not customized, right? I mean, we're getting stuff which is kind of cool. I saw it on a website and I ordered it and I got it. But you know what? The future is going to be more about the customer, us. We're going to want things and we're going to want to have them the way we need them. And they're going to be just better ways of manufacturing, and we'll be able to actually generate our own products, which are going to be much more complex. That's how I see the future.
Mm-hmm. So instead of ordering a product on, say, Amazon, and it's brought to you by car or by drone, that's already off the shelf from a warehouse somewhere. If you wanted let's say a sweatshirt in a particular material with a certain pattern on it in a specific color, your 3D printer, theoretically, if it could make cloth, or if, for example, it could just make it on demand. It's almost like it's being beamed from one place to another, but it's also customized to your needs.
That is correct. And think about it. We already have things like that. I mean, you could already get a shirt and make sure that they put nice photo of your family and print it and then send it to you. But looking into the future, it's all going to become even more sophisticated. You will be able to get that sweatshirt that is also going to take measurements of your heartbeat and maybe tell you if you think about your health. And that is going to be customized. So that's how I see the future.
Wow.
I think it's pretty cool.
Indeed. I'll have to agree with you. And unfortunately, we'll have to end it there, Amit. But yes, I agree 100%. That's fascinating. Where could our listeners learn more about Nano Dimension if they wanted to learn more about the company, which is publicly traded? I want to let our listeners know. Is there a website you'd recommend?
Absolutely. We welcome the listeners to enter our website, which is www.nano-di.com. And we're also available to share more information through our website forms.
All right. nano-di.com for more info. Amit Dror, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and I really enjoyed our chat. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that chat with Nano Dimension. As promised, when we return, I'm going to talk about Small Business Week and some tech that I showed on TV this past week. But first, a thank you to ASUS, the title sponsor on Tech It Out, creating technology for today and tomorrow's smart life. Visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. We'll be right back with more Tech It Out.
Follow Marc Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. As promised, for this last block on today's show, I wanted to spend some time talking about small and medium-sized businesses. It is Small Business Week, so I wanted to highlight a few products that I actually showed on TV last week that can help businesses do more in less time and for less money. I did partner with a few of my favorite tech brands to show these products on TV, and you can see that at killerapps.com, by the way. If you want to see a video version, that's killerapps.com. apps.com. But let me tell you about three of them. I first started off with a fantastic commercial grade laptop for businesses, the Dell Latitude 7400 2-in-1. It's billed as the world's smallest business 14-inch 2-in-1 PC. A 2-in-1, of course, can be used in several modes, like laptop mode or tent mode, display mode, or tablet. And its compact size makes it perfect for on-the-go professionals. It combines a beautiful design with smart security, as it features the world's first PC proximity sensor. What that means is it uses facial recognition to log you in when you walk up to the laptop, but it locks itself when you step away. That's super smart, and I know a lot of small and medium-sized businesses would love that extra security. My favorite feature, though, is its best-in-class battery at more than 24 hours, believe it or not, so you can leave the charger at home. Dell also has a free dedicated small business advisor program to help you choose the right technology solutions for your business, because it isn't a one-size-fits-all scenario, right? You can check out some great deals now and throughout May on Dell.com, but the prices start at $15.99 for that business-grade Dell Latitude 7400 2-in-1. All right, next up, I also showed a printer for small and medium-sized businesses last week on TV. It's the Canon Color Image Class MF743CDW. I know it's a bit of a mouthful, but all you have to remember is that it's a wireless color laser all-in-one. So, of course, that's a printer, scanner, copier, and fax. So it saves you money and space because it's all in one machine, offering a remarkable business color value that's super important to small and medium businesses. Just as Canon creates cameras that deliver professional image quality, this printer offers a vivid color output as well. And if you buy direct through Canon's online store, the optional auto replenishment service means that when you're running low on toner, a new cartridge will be automatically shipped to your door. The all-in-one or multifunction printer actually detects when it's running low on toner and will order a new one for you. So very convenient. This Canon Image Class all-in-one costs $529. And finally, I talked about Ooma Office. It's an affordable and scalable enterprise-grade phone service built to help small businesses look and sound more professional. You can generate more sales and create an overall better customer experience with this cloud-based VoIP system, Voice over Internet Protocol. Businesses have their choice of hardware too, as it works with analog phones, IP phones, and mobile phones, and has advanced features such as a virtual receptionist and conference bridges. And there's no service contracts or long-term commitments, which I know a lot of small and medium-sized businesses would welcome compared to those big telcos that lock in. Ooma Office costs $19.95 per user per month. And again, that's Ooma Office, OOMA. You may have used their consumer version in your home. Now they've made them for businesses because of all the advanced features you get and amazing quality. Let's end off on a tip for small businesses. Cybersecurity needs to be taken very seriously. 2/3 or 65% of cyber attacks target small businesses, yet ironically, only 15% of small biz owners think they're at risk. Cyber attacks do not only translate to costly downtime, but there's also a risk of data breaches that can impact your customers and your reputation. The biggest threat are phishing scams, those legitimate-looking emails that can trick an employee into giving out sensitive corporate information. So, along with good cybersecurity software, which is a must, make sure everyone is trained as well, that there's some education here so you could reduce the odds of a cyber attack happening. And if you want to learn more about everything that I talked about just now, that Ooma Office product, the Canon multifunction laser color wireless printer, as well as that commercial grade Dell laptop with a battery that lasts more than 24 hours, you can go to killerapps.com to see it in action. That's killerapps.com. As we wrap up today's show, I do want to thank my sponsor one last time, Asus Republic of Gamers, or ROG, creating technology for today and tomorrow's smart life and serious gamers. Asus, for those in search of incredible, you can visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com/US/radio. And of course, Republic of Gamers has their own part of the site as well, where you can see all of their laptops and desktops. We spoke with them last week to learn all about their gaming lineup for 2019. If you missed that interview, you can go and listen to the podcast. from my website, marksaltzman.com. That's Mark with a C, SALTZMAN.com. Have a great rest of your weekend, everyone. Catch up with you next time on Tech It Out. Bye-bye for now.